everyone, this is Alyssia, Aunt, and Liz, and we are Servant Decoded, and we are devoting our podcast to all things servant, the awesome, mind-bending television series on Apple TV, created by Tony Bascalop and M. Night Shyamalan. So we're going to take a deep dive into all things servant. We're going to analyze, theorize. We love conversations, so feel free to email us or leave your comments below. And all right, let's kick off our shoes and take a deep look into season 2, episode 10, Aunt Josephine.
Yeah, Aunt Josephine. The finale, in which Aunt Josephine arrives in a very exorcist-like manner, walking down the street wearing a dark coat, carrying what looks to be some sort of item in her hand, which ends up being the Betamax player. So we can finally see what's on the video. Sean opens the door and Aunt Josephine talks her way in. Something that I noted was that once she gets inside the front door, she simply leaves the beta machine behind for Sean to pick up and carry after her, which connoted a sense of entitlement and comfortability in being in a position of power, right? What did you all think of Aunt Josephine's entrance?
I thought it was foreboding.
Yeah, it certainly fulfilled the threat, or it seemed to make good on the idea that she was at least something to be dealt with.
One of the things that I kept wondering throughout the episode, but certainly at the beginning, as soon as she's in that doorway, I think she says something like that she's there, to help, or that you can trust me, or something like that. And even Sean, as their conversation begins, said, I think she says, you can trust me. And then Sean says, I think she wants to help us.
Right.
So to me, I just wanted to be like, don't trust her. She's not trying to help you. But then at the same time, I also wondered that, right? Well, but is she somebody? I saw somebody on Reddit mention that she might be like the cult assassin, which I thought was an interesting idea. So yeah, certainly she's foreboding and doesn't seem like she represents anything that's good, but it did, I'm always questioning.
When she initially sits down with Dorothy, she does appear to be very calming, soothing. My first thought was, well, maybe she is here to help. She's telling Dorothy, what a weight you've been carrying. It's too much for any woman. I'm here to help. Also note, though, that she immediately calls her a warrior. So
yes.
Someone, again, on Reddit, where the smart people dwell, notes that Leanne, in her time away from the Turners, presumably reunited with the cult after season 1's finale, was probably questioned rather intently about her time with the Turners. Why did you leave? Where did you go? What happened? Tell us everything. Every little detail. And I imagine that Leanne talked about that dinner party with Natalie, where Dorothy erupts saying, I am She-Ra. I'm not as fragile as you all thought I was. I am a lioness. I am a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is, yeah.
So she knew how to manipulate her.
Right. Exactly, because that's what she was doing. She was manipulating Dorothy to get access to Leanne.
Right. And I thought I'd interject just real quick. One of my other favorite shows, Wentworth, they introduced a cult leader at the end of their last season. And the way that she had to talk somebody down from something, and the way that she talked her down is extremely similar to what we saw Aunt Josephine doing, where it felt very calming and you felt like, oh, I can trust this person. So I think that that's also just something, that's the way cults.
Yeah, it's the nature.
That's purposeful.
It's like family, or it's like very good friends, or, I know you already. It's like that kind of like trust and familiarity you just generate almost always from nothing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they talk about love bombing.
Right.
You know, you love bomb and then you withdraw. But Aunt Josephine immediately, you know, she's sitting very close to Dorothy, calm, soothing voice, immediately creates a sense of intimacy. I know you. I know you. I know who you are. I know you've been through, and let me come in and lift the burden and ease your pain. But give me Liam.
Right.
And I think Dorothy, you know, she tries to play it shrewdly and tries to negotiate and bargain, you know, 5 minutes for Jericho.
Right.
But Aunt Josephine gets what she wants. And we see Leanne when Sean takes Aunt Josephine upstairs. Leanne's holding a snow globe, you know, up as if ready to strike. Visibly shaken and frightened, and pleads with Sean, don't leave me alone with her.
I have a question.
Okay.
And I wanted to see what you guys thought. And this is a house question. But it occurred to me during this scene, which is why I'm bringing it up now. When we're watching that scene play out, right? They're upstairs. And I believe you've got either bedroom on the other end, right? But then it looked like the door to the attic was there, right? And why would Leanne be upstairs instead of in the attic? I thought the attic door was connected to the kitchen, was right off the kitchen.
No.
So it's not?
I don't think so.
Crazy. Okay.
I believe I believe there are 3 stories. There's the living room area, and then there's the bedrooms, and then when you get to the 3rd level, there are like maybe guest bedrooms and the door to the attic.
Right. Okay. So that's where they were.
I think.
And
so.
I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. I also noticed a very narrow door during that scene. I don't know if you guys caught it, but
like
I hadn't noticed it before. Like a closet, possibly. Like it could be one of those doors that's like a linen closet.
Oh yeah.
Right. But it could also be something else. It's situated near the stairs. And in the Marino house, they talked about how they found Sergio in a crawl space under the stairs. So I had that memory of that. And I wondered if that door was important. So just something to put out there. Obviously, we don't know, and we know the house is going to keep expanding. Exactly, me too.
Nobody ever seems to notice, and it never really impedes anything. So I wonder if it's like just like visual, like I don't know, I guess what visual sickness, or like just a way to like setting everything in the room slightly off so you feel like something's not right. Like maybe it's just to be uncomfortable, but it seems too specific for that. Because you wouldn't necessarily notice those things in a way that would make you uncomfortable because everything's so fast. Someone's either yelling or like running or
exactly. Yeah. Right. No, exactly.
And we're going off on a bit of a tangent, but as we are wont to do,
we can move on. But I just thought that was an interesting. I'm always looking for new doors. And new little things that we may not have seen before, right? Yeah.
No, it's good to keep track of.
Well, no, I mentioned the tangent because I'm going to go off on one.
Yeah, there we go.
Not to shame you, Alyssia. The idea, someone had posted again on Reddit about the dollhouse in the attic and the windows, 2 windows, 3 windows, how the house appears to be kind of ever changing. Or we're just never really given a clear layout of the house to create, as you noted, a sense of unease and
like familiarity or something. Yeah.
Unfamiliarity. Where are we? What?
Right.
It creates a sense of unsafety. And in that episode, it was like 3 episodes ago, or maybe it was Goose, where Jericho's coming up the stairs and someone is closing a door, and we don't know who's behind the door. In this episode, I thought I recognized.
You saw the parallel, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I recognized the door as being the door to the nursery, confirming that based on the layout.
Yes.
Yes. Did someone make a layout?
Yes.
I think that was
so I think that it's possible that maybe Aunt Josephine has been in there. That because like the shot that they showed in this episode, right, where Sean's walking down and she slides out and goes behind.
It was like the same kind
mirror
of thing.
Of the shot when it happened with Julian, only we didn't see who it was, but it was the same shot. So to me, that was kind of a clue or a hint that that's who maybe had gone into that room when she was shutting the door. I might be totally off base, but
I wonder if it's her specifically or just someone in general. Like
I think parallel, that it may not have been her, but people just kind of
a ghost
unknowing to the Turners being in the house and moving around when they don't notice.
Exactly. I feel like there's something.
Yeah, so do I. But how could you make it? I mean, I know it's, but like no one ever notices anything like that. You're so wrapped up in yourself and you're like, I mean, I know it's a lot going on, but I'm going to notice if somebody's playing with my closets, probably.
But exactly, look at the Turners, Dorothy's character, and Sean and Julian of being kind of oblivious.
Of course.
They're so self-centered that
everything's very, I was going to say self-important, like it's like about me and like my child and like really it's about
and they
me.
Do hear weird things.
Right.
They do hear weird things. Yeah.
It's and just interesting.
The house alarm working, not working, Roscoe, coming and going without Dorothy or Leanne initially knowing in season 1.
The bathtub. The bathtub was another one. The mysteriously filled up bathtub.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The hair on the sink.
Yep.
There's a lot of situations where it appears as though there's somebody that's not visible that's in that house. Yeah, it's very creepy.
In that shot where that you guys referenced, where Sean is walking down the hall, and Aunt Josephine comes boop right out of a room down the hall in the other direction without Sean noticing. Creepy,
like
creepy
a little
shot.
Ghost, just like oh god, so good.
Yeah, well, and that reminded me of The Exorcist 3, that famous jump scare with the nurse.
I don't know if I ever saw that. I gotta fix that.
I haven't seen it. Yeah,
pull it up on YouTube. It is creepy. It's often referenced as one of the best jump scares ever done.
Gotcha.
And this episode is filmed very much like a horror movie. A lot of horror movie references. But I went back and looked a few times to see what room. Yeah. And what room is Aunt Josephine coming out of behind Sean? And it looks to be like a half bath. It's some sort of, it looks like a bath.
You see that much of it? I have to rewatch again.
I had to go watch a few times, but it looks like a little half bath. Just, sink, toilet. Maybe the bathroom that Leanne uses when she's living in her room.
Right.
I don't know if there was an ensuite bathroom in her room.
There was.
Oh, there was. Okay.
I wonder if she was actually doing something, though, or was it just she has free reign, like not her space?
That's what it is. I don't think she was doing anything. Yeah, I think she's just like whatever however she was planning and whatever she was doing. Yeah, she was kind of hiding. She was trying to move quietly, but I don't think she was like doing something in a specific room.
Yeah.
Upon looking back, Alyssia, could you see that it was a bathroom? Did it look like a bathroom to you?
I'm almost there. Hang on. I found a couple other things that I wanted to screenshot too.
Not that it's that important, but
no, I want to take a look at it. Hang on. I'm gonna do a screenshot.
And to your point, I think it was her just kind of
Just being fluid in the house, just like
fluid, right? And to get to Leanne because Dorothy was trying to
right.
stop her what's the word? Access to her.
Right.
Also, I wondered, there's so many biblical references on this show.
Mm-hmm.
There's the story of Jesus being betrayed 3 times.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was trying to count if Leanne was, if the same thing happened to Leanne, if the Turners betray her thrice, 3 times. The first time being when Dorothy says, no way, no access to Leanne. And then when Aunt Josephine holds out access to Jericho, Dorothy relents and says, okay, 5 minutes, whatever, 15 minutes, whatever she says. The second betrayal is when Sean takes Josephine up the stairs and Leanne pleads with him, don't leave me alone with her. Boom, next shot, Leanne and Aunt Josephine alone in the attic.
You're right. So, I just burst in there. You're right. It is a bathroom.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I'm always right. Be specific. Cool. Great. I love being right.
Who doesn't?
Right.
Let's see.
Right.
Right.
So, okay. So 2 betrayals. Is there a third betrayal?
Maybe not yet.
Maybe not yet.
Oh.
Okay. So then we go into, I believe, Sean getting locked in the room.
Hmm.
His phone won't work.
Right. The passcode is wrong.
Passcode won't work. Throwback to season 1 when the house alarm wouldn't work for Sean specifically. And I noted, how much power does Aunt Josephine really have? And how much power does she have compared to Leanne? There have been questions online about how powerful the cult is, what powers do they have, and how much more powerful than the cult is Leanne.
I would say
Why
very
is everyone
much.
so afraid of her? Are they afraid of her only because she's gone rogue? Or are they afraid of her because she has this immense power that they cannot stop?
I don't think
both.
it's so much. Well, it could be. Yeah, I don't know, because everything is so personal and so
That's true.
Nobody really seems to be worried about being found out. Like, everyone's aware of the cult. They're on the news in whatever light.
Yeah.
And, it's not like, oh, you let out our secret. It's more like, I don't know. Don't cause trouble. She's not really, I guess acting in self-interest is a sin. So maybe that's the trouble that's caused. She acts in her self-interest and it causes problems as opposed to, trying to just be a servant or helpful in some way and keeping the peace.
Well, jump to the very end of the episode when the lights go out in the Turner household, and then we see the power going out down the street.
Right.
Which would indicate that Leanne's emerging darkness is not only literal, it's something that could threaten the world at large. A conversation we've had before.
Right.
Yeah.
But now she's contained again.
Well,
for now,
Leanne,
right?
Because because she's like, well, now we can be a family, and everyone's kind of
she's a child.
Yeah.
It was quite creepy.
Yeah,
when she says that. When I rewatched it, and she's like, now we can be a family in her eyes, I was like, uh-oh.
And then Dorothy's like, it was, that was so good.
It was
that was so subtle.
the way she said it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think of Leanne as this petulant child and this goes to trauma. People with borderline personality disorder, and I hate to pathologize around fictional characters. I hate to pathologize in general, but if you want to do a mental health study of Leanne, one could theorize or postulate that her early childhood trauma created some BPD tendencies, one of which being looking at people as all good or all bad. There's no modulation. There's no room for in between.
That's
Right.
a great point.
Yeah. So, initially Dorothy was all good. And then when Leanne learned of what she had done, she's all bad.
And then she
and
does
now
it
she's
again.
all good again.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, and then she does it again. Like,
And she's flipped again. She's
just
all
most
good
recently, she's like, "Oh, she really does love me. She hit
Yeah.
you in the face with a statue and then buried you
again. She full on buried you.
for real."
That was
There's no coming back from that.
the best.
Yeah.
And you've been in her attic
Back
for
about it.
who knows how long now.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about, and this happened, I guess, right before, Sean walking the hall, is we saw Aunt Josephine give Dorothy that onesie and says, this is the
Yes.
truth. What did y'all make of that?
Didn't we see that before? Isn't that Jericho's?
It
That's
is,
his death onesie.
Yeah. So the truth of
why did
that
she
is that the
say-
baby is dead, is what I would.
Right.
Well, Aunt Josephine
That-
says something like, what does she say? It's time to put an end to it all. Or I'll find the quote, but Aunt Josephine is definitely pushing Dorothy to kill herself, I believe.
Maybe she was hoping that by giving her the onesie, it would finish waking Dorothy up, and that
Right.
because she knows Dorothy has said she would kill herself if that happened, that she
Exactly.
Just to
that
get
was
to
another
Leanne,
way
though?
then.
Oh, okay.
That's a lot.
I think, well, I don't know. I guess depending on what the larger picture of the show is, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe, if we're going back to the concept of souls, right? Maybe that's why, if that has anything to do with it. Other than that, unless she's worried Dorothy's going to keep giving her issues and she wants her gone, and it's just sort of a literal interpretation of it.
So she wants Leanne to let go of Dorothy. It's all about Leanne for Aunt Josephine.
Right.
And
I see what you're saying.
And Leanne
okay.
won't let go of Dorothy. So it'd be easiest for the cult and for Aunt Josephine if Dorothy were gone. I found the quote when Aunt Josephine hands the death onesie to Dorothy. She says, "You fought for so long, you can let go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all going to be okay."
Right.
We continue to come back to surrender, right? Like we've heard multiple, you have to surrender. It's another version of that. Yeah.
Free yourself from delusion.
Yeah.
There
Or
you go.
let go.
Exactly.
Get out of here.
Like let go of like simple comforts.
Let go of life.
Right.
Let go. Go away. Go be with your son, because I'm helping you by giving you the truth. He's gone. You killed him. Go be a good mother and go be with him. And I'm being very flippant here, but I believe Aunt Josephine, she had promised Jericho in exchange for those minutes with Leanne, and holds true to her promise, but doesn't give her Jericho. She gives her the onesie, the truth.
It's giving her the truth of her child, I guess, if we're to believe that he is actually dead.
Yeah. And then hoping that Dorothy will
find comfort in that in time. Like, yeah, that's pretty grim.
On the surface, but I think Aunt Josephine's, her idea was darker, was to have Dorothy kill herself.
Right.
And then get out of the way.
Yeah, that's fine. That's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Just not perhaps how you'd want it to happen.
Right. Yeah. So, about trauma and Leanne as a child with possible BPD tendencies, I think the cult is very worried that when Leanne flips again and Dorothy is no longer all good, she's all bad,
right?
That could lead to an apocalypse. Her powers being unleashed to some degree that it's detrimental to the world. What do you think, Alyssia?
I think that it's so hard to say, because I'm still not sure if this is a story just about this cult in a way, right? And escaping that in some way, or if it really is a bigger picture thing. So part of me feels like that answer isn't necessarily clear yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was thinking about too, while I was listening to, you know, when Leanne says, I'm going to bring Jericho to you, Jericho's not gone. Right. He's not gone. And then I reflected back on the various ways it's been talked about. So for example, Mr. Turner saying, whose baby is this? It's your baby, Mr. Turner. It's Jericho, right? I want Jericho back. Jericho died, Mr. Turner. But she never says one way or the other, sort of like he's permanently dead. So it made me wonder too, if that was like, if he's in an in-between in the same type of a way.
I think, I don't know where he is specifically, but I think she was fully in control of that entire thing. Like, I think Leanne, I don't know the mechanism of it, but it seems like she can decide whether or not that the baby exists, Jericho.
Yeah.
Because like they went through all of these things for her to be like, well, he's not coming back. And then Dorothy was nice again. And then suddenly, oh, I can get him back for you. Like, you did what I wanted. Or like, oh, I think you're a good mother now because, I don't know, you did that one nice thing for me again. So here's your baby back in service of that. And then by way of that, I also get my mother back. Not my mother, but like you as that figure for me. And I can stay here and, you know, not be without.
I wonder if, because we see Leanne breathe life into Julian.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if she did that to the actual Jericho, right?
Where would she have had access to?
Well, we don't, who knows, right? Because if somebody's been moving around in that house without them knowing, then certainly would have had access.
But didn't they take him away? Didn't the police? Or
it's hard to say because you see that person in the hazmat suit walking out. You don't know who it is. They're not in an officer's uniform, if I recall.
No, but you don't just go look at a hazmat situation and then leave it for a time. Like, you would probably have those people there to handle it, yes? So I don't know that.
But what if the person in the hazmat suit is from the cult?
Oh, there you go.
Well, this is what we all...
I wonder if they'll ever go back to that.
Yeah.
Coming back to this question, the mechanics of how could Leanne have brought Jericho back to life? Did she turn the doll into a baby, and the baby looks enough like Jericho to satisfy the Turners? Is it the real Jericho? What's going on? We know that Leanne has powers of resurrection. I wonder if the question of, is it the real Jericho? How did she get access to it? If it isn't something that M. Night and the writers aren't just kind of hand waving away, like
a baby of Theseus.
Jericho's back. Just like, don't look anywhere else. Just the baby's back. Let's move forward.
I don't know that they're trying to get at this, but like, it almost doesn't matter if it's their baby or not because it is their baby. It's kind of like a question of faith sort of a thing, like whether or not it actually is. Like, at this point, I mean, it may as well be because, like, look at all we've been through over and over now.
Right. That's true.
And we still want this baby. We're all convinced it is most of the time. So,
right. Yeah.
And whenever I come up against, in a show like this, whenever I come up against a question that you could really spiral around, I always try to look to the writer's intentions. Is this something that they want us to speculate over, or is it something that we're meant to just accept?
Absolutely.
I think it's both in this case as well, though. It seems like
I agree.
They just play with the answer, and then it's never really like, I don't know, they never like finish it satisfyingly, but they leave enough there for it to also be like, okay, if it's just that.
I agree.
Because I'm not really like, this last season wasn't really about the baby. I mean, it was about the baby, but it's not really about the baby.
Right.
In season 1, there were a lot of questions about, is this the real Jericho? And not just off Sean and Julian wondering what the fuck is going on.
Right. And they even they even highlight that this season when he like explains to Courtney like they have a fake baby. It was a real baby, but like now it's fake again. And like, okay, that's the show. Like, thanks for the update. It's just like they know like
Right.
that they're
Yeah. It's also, if there are people, and I just kind of thought about this in the last couple of minutes, if there are people moving through that home or in and out or
Mhm.
whatever, then maybe, I don't know, they like, would they not have necessarily seen Jericho or known that that happened? So that's weird too.
for what?
Jericho dying, like, if she was she really there herself by herself, if there are people that are moving around her house, then
I
did
just
they
the thing that
I don't
the
know.
thing that bothers me about that is if she had the fascination with Dorothy and ended up there on her own means of like putting in an application or whatever, at what point did all of these people just suddenly become so interested in this house that they're like creeping around and for what reason?
Mhm. There was another house line mentioned, and I saw somebody showed a screenshot of this where Dorothy says Leanne's an important part of this house now.
Yes.
And that
Oh, I
made
saw
me
that
think
too.
back,
Yeah.
and that made me think back to that other episode, the pilot, where she says, "We hope that you'll make our house your home."
Hmm.
Right? So that's twice now where she refers to it as the house and not as our home specifically.
Right.
So I think that's very purposeful too. And I really feel like the house is a character in this story.
Mhm.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
And I'm leading more and more towards Alyssia. I think your idea of people living in the house in areas undiscovered, and if that's a supernatural thing of, like Harry Potter with the train station of,
Oh yeah.
space that appears through
Mhm.
supernatural means.
Huh.
But
Mhm.
Mhm.
And maybe they are ghosts, right? Like, Julian's dad said, there's too many ghosts here,
oh
right?
yes. Yes.
And I'm still, I'm still relatively sure that Julian and his dad have been involved in some way. So, particularly the dad. I wonder if Julian's memory was wiped, but if the dad still knows or remembers or participates in the cult, or is an eye.
Can anybody do that well? That's what baffles me so much, that you would have an entire. Well, we don't really know what he does specifically, but like nobody in your life remembers your time in the whatever it
Mhm.
was. That's so.
Right.
That's such an all-encompassing thing. That is very powerful. It's strange though, because there are these little things that like make you think like,
Well, there's a parallel between Leanne being orphaned as a young girl and
mm-hmm,
Dorothy being orphaned as a young girl or being without a mother.
right.
I could see a scenario in which the mother
Yeah.
dies or goes away, something happens, they
Mhm.
lose the mom, and the dad looks to maybe a nanny who comes to take care of the kids. But, as Leanne did, he's actually a member of the cult. And, woo woo stuff happens. Maybe that's how they initially got involved with the cult.
Oh, I had another theory that I came up with.
Mm.
So Dorothy, when she is telling, I don't, let's see, I think maybe she was telling Sean, but maybe not. No, I think that's when it was. Yeah. Dorothy says that her and Jericho are the same soul,
I
Mm.
picked up on
and she
that
needs to
too.
be with him. And it made me, so I just thought that was interesting anyway. But it also made me wonder. I've been, obsessed with Sergio and Julian being one and the same, but it occurred to me when I was watching it that maybe that isn't the case.
Mhm.
Maybe Julian had a son, right? Or has a son. Maybe that's who Sergio is. Because it just made me think about them being the same soul,
Mhm.
right? So it just got me thinking about all of these weird sort of connections. And we're trying to figure out how it's all connected. And obviously we don't know yet. So it was just another one of the possibilities I was coming up with as to, what's really going on there. But yeah, we're the same soul. I thought that was a really important sentence.
I could see that happening. You know, Julian is so uncaring and kind of nonchalant when it comes to relationships. I could absolutely see him abandoning a child.
Mm-hmm.
Just pay her off.
Or like not even knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, okay, back to the episode. After, I'm sorry?
Go on.
We still have the video.
What format? What? So off Sean being locked in the room, we've got Aunt Josephine and Leanne in the attic. And Aunt Josephine is questioning whether or not Leanne can still be saved and shows her the video and says, this is something like, this is your final warning. And then we see the video, and which looks to have been made in the 70s. There were a lot, the boxes, Barbara's medicine. What does that mean? Something labeled very clearly years 73 through 74.
I saw something that said BGA's salon. It was in a box by the desk next to Mary, and it was the only other thing in that shot, you know, really stood out. BGA's salon.
Oh, maybe we wonder where they get their money from. Although they assuage all worldly possessions, and things don't mean anything to us, but they do need money to function somehow, or they did back in the 70s, and to make videos and to buy Betamax machines with.
They're probably expensive, yeah.
So, but yeah, so we know this, at least, that they've been around since the 70s, and they're still working together. But, we've noticed so many connections to the show Lost. And spoiler alert for people who have not seen Lost. If you haven't seen Lost, watch it. It's an awesome show.
I was going to say,
go watch it. Yeah. But here's a spoiler from season 2, I think, or 3. We learned that the Dharma Initiative was wiped out and have been taken over by this other group, the Others. So the people in these videos on Lost that we see from the 70s, the scientists, the experiments and what they're doing, the Dharma Initiative, that's no longer the case today. It's these others operating on their own, a lot of biblical allegorical stuff, their own agenda. So, question, is the cult that we see today with Aunt Josephine and George and May, are they the same cult as Uncle Frederick? I mean, I know the ritual is the same, but that just got me wondering if, like The Office, and
things change all the time.
You have a great point.
Yeah, religions, even cults, I'm sure, like things change, like very internally all the time, and things different people become in control, and then they switch little things just over time to better suit their needs, or the needs of more people, or whatever your goal would happen to be. That is scary.
We're underneath that,
because then you wouldn't be making videos if your people are oh, we inhabit under bridges and the shadows, and that was George made that very clear. I don't know why you would have both of those things. And then why would she need to see that, Leanne? I mean, you could just have done that to her. You needed to show her that. Is that just being honest and not?
Oh, that's a good point.
Is that something that needs to happen for some reason? Because it wasn't this is what's going to happen to you. I guess it was sort of meant to be a threat. This is what we do. You're going to threaten me with a videotape? Just threaten me with a knife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just do it.
Well, I got the sense that Aunt Josephine has beef with Leanne, that she doesn't like Leanne. She may just be afraid of her, but I got the sense that there was something personal going on, that she wanted Leanne to fail that test. And part of showing her the video was a sadistic measure on her part.
I saw I saw some people mention that, you know, she really seemed like she could be Leanne's mother, which I don't think that's the case, but I do think it was meant to feel that way. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why.
It may have had a
Okay.
relationship or fascination at a
Mhm.
previous time.
So
If she had
in
known
Although
her at
who
all.
knows, but you know, yeah.
so
On
the
the
video,
Lost, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go. Lost.
So on all the Lost references, I know we talked a lot about like what's symbolic and what's a clue, right, in general, but I felt like the Lost references in this were so strong that to me a lot of it probably was, you know, a lot of the things probably were clues. Right? So the Hydra video in particular from the Dharma Initiative on Lost really had a lot of great sort of tie-ins to this episode. And so I thought that was interesting as well. So yeah, I think that Liz, I think that your postulum that, hey, maybe this cult from the past isn't the same version of this cult now, or maybe I think that's a great thought to ponder for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my notes for you know, the 4 steps of the ritual.
Yeah.
Another 4.
Yeah.
Another 4.
Another 4.
Love being right. Yay me. No.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was trying to remember.
What?
Sorry, Liz. I thought of something earlier and I just remembered what I was going to say. We were talking about all the lights going off.
Yeah.
And so one of the things in Lost is the electromagnetism. Right. So that it also was another connection to Lost, right? Because maybe I don't think that necessarily in particular is a clue or anything, but I thought that was a cool connection too. And then the babies, the fact that the people couldn't have babies. So I thought that was another really interesting parallel to what we're looking at with Dorothy and her babies. And then also in the Hydra video, they're talking about how it's an observation station, I believe. I think that's the Hydra one. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Okay.
It's that term, the observation station.
Right. And so they watch, right? And then they're told, of course, not to, it's careful. It says, use careful observation is the only key to total and complete awareness, is what it says in the video. And then we also see a mannequin having its memory wiped. So I thought that was another really interesting connection to Servant and the mannequin in the attic. And then also it says that that the hostels on Lost worship an island deity, which of course Losties would know as Jacob. Yeah. But then in this video, or not necessarily in this video, but in that scene, Aunt Josephine says, our job is to serve him, which of course we presume to be God, but that also brought up another connection there to Lost too, right? We worship him, we serve him.
Oh, totally.
And that happened on Lost, right? Everybody was just meant to do what Jacob told them to do. So that was another really great little Easter egg there, I thought.
Well, and to that, I was going to mention earlier about the lights going off and what could it mean for the world at large if Leanne were to go nuclear? We learn about Jacob and his brother, the man in black, one white, one black. The goose episode, get his brother, the black one, the black goose. What happens if, what's the worst thing that could happen? The man in black gets off the island and then the world as you know it will be gone. Or lost.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, ooh. Yeah. Okay.
What are your thoughts on the Lost stuff, Aunt? Do you have any
I mean, the connections are there, like as like little references. I think I don't know that they're like. I guess they're talking about good and evil as well. I'm just trying to think if they're actually tying things together that way specifically. I don't know.
There's so many of them. It can't be a coincidence, right?
I don't think so. No.
The white and the black they're using a lot, and that's pretty clear visuals for good and evil, and like
Right.
and has so far been embodying both kind of as well as Dorothy. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of switching going on with everybody, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that like maybe now Leanne is having a further extended reach, but I don't know what that could mean because like the lights go out, and that's I guess an extension of her control, or maybe her general presence influence as maybe an infection, as she was called. But it seems so personal. I don't know how it's going to like spread out from the house, because even when she was away, like she was with the Marinos and everything was fine, or seemingly fine, and then I guess she would have presumably gone back to the cult, but then what happens.
Another lost title.
I know, right?
Whatever happened, happened.
Whatever happened,
Yeah.
happened.
Watch out,
Which
Aunt.
I love to quote to people, but when they talk about how like, oh, it was purgatory, nothing actually happened on Lost, and I'm like, no, that's not it.
You weren't paying attention, and they weren't doing what you thought they were doing.
Exactly. I was like, there's literally an episode saying what happened happened. Yeah.
Whatever happened, happened. Cannot be escaped. Lost is everywhere.
Someone mentioned on Reddit as well, like that Turner is an anagram with return, which I think is 100%.
I'm sure that's absolutely intentional in some way, I'm sure.
Completely, yeah. Especially when we hear them talk about the return reunion over and over again. So, yeah.
And we're having multiple reunions like over the seasons, because like that baby comes back, what is it, 3 times now? 4 times now? She should just be used to it at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so the video. So Aunt Josephine says, or Leanne says, "What is this?" And Aunt Josephine says, "Your final warning, so pay attention."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we meet Uncle Frederick's. We learn that every group, every cult has their terminology, the shared language.
Mm-hmm.
And so uncle, aunt, cousin seems to be how they address each other. So any adult is an uncle, any youth is a cousin.
Oh, good point.
Right.
So Frederick talks about the 4 steps for and this is where I can't find my damn notes.
I wrote them down, but I can't. The 4 steps. I'll look it up. But it's the 4 steps to reunion. To something about the reunion. That's what it is. I'll find it.
We're here for one purpose: to save him or to serve him.
Right.
Let's see if you can be saved. So Leanne starts to pray under Aunt Josephine's guidance. The sticking point comes, this is before the ritual. The sticking point comes when Aunt Josephine is saying, like, renounce all worldly possessions, renounce this, renounce that, and forget Dorothy. And that's where Leanne stops and questions, why do I have to? Do I have to? One thing that I thought was interesting is that when Leanne is praying under Aunt Josephine's guidance, and they're talking about renouncing all worldly possessions, you get this very clear above shot, of Leanne surrounded by all of her things, these pretty poofy dresses, the colorful Christmas lights, all of the Turner's objects, representing Dorothy wanting to retain or stay a member of this household, stay in this world of the Turners, be a part of the family.
All right, that's how she ends the episode. Like,
emphasizing
be a
this
family now.
Yeah, just emphasizing that Leanne is so now immersed and surrounded by the Turner world and doesn't want to leave it. She started out as a hostage in this attic, her prison, which she's now made a home for herself.
Again, after having made a home for herself initially as someone,
Exactly.
in a relatively normal situation of being a nanny.
Yeah. I mean, she seems even more comfortable now. And she's coming into herself. At the end, she talks about, how she's feeling more and more like herself. that she's always been judged for, but maybe it's a good thing. You know, I like it, and maybe I can be who I really am. But okay, so back to the attic.
So the beginning of the video, they call it the reunion ritual. And they say that they do it for members that have been lost, that they're trying to return to the light. So that would indicate, especially when we see Aunt Josephine with the burn on her face, that she too once was lost,
right,
and had the ritual performed on her and returned to the light.
But is returning to the light being killed, or is it that she goes through the? Because it seems like she survived it. I don't think you're supposed to survive getting your arms and legs slit open. Like,
no. So I think that's a good question. Is she like a ghost form? Like, is she a ghost form? Or
if that's okay and allowed and happens so often that you have more than one person that happens to, what is the point of it not working then? You just keep these people and then hope nothing happens and then don't try it again?
Right.
Well,
yeah.
I think we're meant to, I mean, there's so many ways of looking at it. Kind of on the surface, based solely on what Uncle Frederick is saying, because the way he keeps talking about, you know, step one, listen to music that reminded you of, you know, a happy time when you were on Earth, as if you've already been reincarnated, right?
Or like, well, I took it as like you're about to be, but you could be right too. I didn't even think of it that way.
A time on Earth.
Yeah.
God, what does it say?
It says, let's see, did I write it down?
Of your
it says
time
something like
on...
a song that makes you think of your time on Earth. Okay,
the quote is, listen to music that reminds you of a good time, something to your time on Earth here. Connected. Music that reminds you of a good time that connected you to your time on Earth here.
That even sounds awkward and strange.
I know. There must be a word I'm reading incorrectly, but
maybe not. No, I don't. Yeah.
I don't. I think you're pretty close. Yeah, if not exactly.
Connected to your time on Earth here.
Right.
In the steps are, 1 is invocation, 2 is consecration.
Right.
Yeah. Did you write the third one down? That's one I missed.
I don't think they label the third one because it says,
that would be why then.
Next part is to open up the flesh from the limbs, and then the soul is free to be returned to the body to be reunited with God.
And then throw them in the fire.
So returned to the body to be reunited with God.
So is the body like an entity then? Or like some sort of overarching, like...
The soul is... So it sounds like it's a cleansing of the soul. You take the soul out of the body and then return it to the body.
One of the things that I noticed in the episode before that, I think it was 9, but it could have been 8. I don't remember. But I remember that there was a scene happening in the house and Sean was there or close by. And the next thing you know, Dorothy's looking for him and we see him and he's standing by the grill for no reason. And I remember watching going like, why is he standing by the grill? Wasn't he just in there doing this? Why is he randomly standing by the grill? So I wonder, but George did too, right? George went to the grill when he was about to do the ritual to Leanne as well. So now I had an alarm bell go off in my head going, well, why was Sean over there? And so I'm wondering if, you know, if my theory of the fact that like they were part of this at one point, like Julian, what if Sean was too? Because he did that at the grill. And then even remembering when he burnt his hand, you know, and he just put it to the flame and he doesn't seem to know why he's doing those things. So I'm wondering if the wiped memory, if those little bits of what had happened to him, like if he's doing that and not really knowing why he's doing that. I know it was meant to seem like an experiment, right? Like I can't feel my hand, so let me see, why won't this work? But a lot of the show, there seems to be double meanings with things. So now looking back, I'm wondering if that is another indicator that maybe they were part of it at one point or another and had their
That's
memory
just
wiped.
that's just the thing that I can't like connect for some reason. There's so many things that are like that lead like point to something,
Right.
but it's like so hard to like parse out what exactly it points to, because how do you
I
get
agree.
It could explain why Sean let Aunt Josephine into the house so easily when he's typically more gruff and, you know, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, and again, when George came through with Julian, right? Julian, I need to talk to Julian. You know, what's going on in here? As though like he trusted him to know.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
Oh, off Julian. You know, we've been like, where is Julian? Is he dead? Blah blah blah. Sean at one point makes a call to Julian and he says, you know, stuff's going down over here. I need you to call me.
Yeah,
Whereas normally he would say, come over right away.
right.
So I took that to mean that Julian is in rehab and Sean was, you know, saying, just call me back. I have to talk to you about what's going on.
I was just thinking he was maybe still in the hospital since
Yeah.
it was basically
Well,
the
that's
same
what I mean.
day.
Hospital rehab. Oh yeah, same day. Could be. Yeah.
Yeah. He went to the
Yeah.
hospital after what happened, and just so he's calling his, you know, saying,
Right.
hey, call me, because he's figuring
And
he's still in
like,
the hospital.
what happened with the papers he was printing out, and like what was that all about? I mean, I don't know if that was just, you know, to have a little thing in there, but like nobody found what they were doing up. I mean, I guess same things, same house.
Yeah, you can see them searching for meaning, right? Or doing weird, strange things like that. That's like, why are they doing that?
With such focus.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So back to the cult and the ritual. I just wrote,
And the 108 on the office door.
and the 108 lost.
I love it.
So good. So the ritual, what is the purpose? You know, are they angels? Are they human? Is the ritual to release the soul from the body, cleanse it, and then reunite it so they can go back to, you know, being good little cult members?
Would they reunite into the same body?
That's what I mean.
Right.
Maybe the body like more of a concept than an actual body, or something else.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. If Aunt Josephine went through that ritual and failed, how is she in power?
Yeah.
She's so
well. I don't think Aunt Josephine failed. I think she can't because she's still standing in some way.
No, just that they didn't kill her. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder if Aunt Josephine and Leanne are one and the same in a way, not like the same, but like they're both special for some reason.
Yeah, I think that's the case. But like, if that's
although
the
that
case,
would also be a good argument for that for Josephine to be Leanne's mom, right? As if they were both. You know.
That's true. But then, like, if that's the case, and you're like finding these people within your religion, whatever it might be, like usually those people are like revered, and like you talk to them and they teach you things, or like you think they could teach you things. But this is like almost like divinity is a sin, because they're like, well, you can do all these things, or you know how to like do all these things to like make things better, but like we don't want that, or like we made a mistake in letting you get to that point. So like what is the function of that if I can't do anything with it other than like so far I guess protect children is the only thing we're interested in.
Well, when they say the death may not no go ahead, keep going.
No, that was about it. I mean, they did help Roscoe with whatever supposedly, so I guess they're doing things on that level as well. But if you're finding people with such special abilities, and then you're immediately like, well, wait a minute, stop, like, why are you continuing to like facilitate the people that end up that way if that's the case?
Oh, right, I see what you're saying. That's a good point.
That was my question about Aunt Josephine. Why would she be in that power position if she
exactly,
you know, strayed as Leanne did? But
you don't really I mean some people
sorry. I like the idea that they both have power beyond what the normal cult members have, and that's why.
Amazing.
When they say death may not take, right? I wonder what they mean by that.
Like,
which kind of goes along with that.
Yeah, I mean, is it that she might fight back and survive? You could just try again, or is it that like you end up in some sort of a half state,
Right.
like a certain
Exactly.
baby, maybe?
Yeah. Exactly.
One thing I noticed about Aunt Josephine, the burn on her face or the scar on her face. Did you notice that and it's on the left side of her face.
Hmm.
Did you notice when she's in the basement trying to choke out Leanne, her left hand and arm are also burned,
I did not
heavily
notice that.
scarred.
Oh, I didn't catch that. No.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Which made me think of, here's another tangent. Leanne, as a child, we know that she set her house, we think that she set her house on fire, thereby killing her family, maybe herself. What if Aunt Josephine were there and like pulled Leanne out, or
Yeah.
was in the, yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go with that.
One of the things I noticed
Mhm.
was that Dorothy takes off her shoes in the nursery and leaves them there.
Right.
And then we also see in the final scene Leanne's shoes on the floor while she's on the bed. And I just thought that's completely purposeful. So then it started to get me thinking, okay, about the shoes again, right? The shoe and the
for
feet
sure.
motif, and how that must mean something, in a symbolic sense.
Yeah, that was when
for-
she was. That's when she was in the nursery, right? With the
Yep.
with the onesie and that. Like that's
Mhm.
like her like getting closer
Yeah.
to the truth and like being grounded. And then
Mhm.
later she gets the baby back. She puts the shoes back on, or she just has
Mm,
the next scene
that's
after it.
interesting.
The
Yeah.
same blue. Yeah,
I like that.
I noticed
That's-
that too
yeah.
though, because they like focus on it, and then it's like a
They
while
do.
before like.
Yeah.
Or just emulating Dorothy. Because she looks up to her again, or now again. So Aunt Josephine she blinds Leanne with the oil,
right?
and Leanne charges her and escapes and runs, and we see Aunt Josephine furthering the ritual. She plays the music, and then she starts to mutilate herself.
I wanted to bring this up first. Yeah, I want to talk about that for a sec. If we go with the theory at the moment that this cult is, like, think about it. They probably were doing those brainwash videos, right? So if that's the case, I wonder, I've talked a little bit about how sometimes it seems like they're programmed, right? They just sort of stop and then become robotic. So I wonder, I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that if they were in the type of hypnosis state and they were being experimented on and their memories are getting wiped, for them to insert something in them, right? So, maybe this is an alien
Like a
stuff.
trigger,
Maybe,
you mean?
yeah, like something where they could control them from afar if they needed to. I don't know what that would be or look like, but that might be a possibility for that repeated. We see Roscoe doing it. We see George that way, right? And it's like he'll be talking and then he just
for like
goes.
a while.
Yeah.
Well, but then
because how do you stab yourself like that? And just seems so sort of in a trance. Like whenever they're doing it, it's just like
I think that was probably like she may have like gained that tolerance from observation, or maybe she was taught to. Like Leanne like whips herself as well, and I know it's painful. She's like obviously in pain. Like sometimes people just like build up to that, I guess, with certain things. But yeah, it's very strange that it's so.
It just seems to me like it would be hard to convince that many people to do that without sort of showing any sort of
the video like
when they're doing it
you don't
there,
have
like,
I mean, I know it's for effect and maybe it's for a laugh on some level, but like yeah, it's very graphic, and like you're not going to just be like like even if you do things like that or do something like that to someone else or yourself, like you're not gonna, there's no joy in it. And like once whatever happens, it happens. Not that it's joyful, but they're like, it's kind of like a dance or whatever.
But they're not moving in like I feel like they're moving in a really sort of strange, possessed,
Yeah,
robotic way
right.
too.
That's
They
what I
don't
mean.
seem
So I could see your
present and
point there.
conscious.
Strange
Yeah,
thing, like you don't just do that for that extended period
right.
of time without
Yeah.
some sort of
Well,
influence.
so why didn't Leanne just automatically go into that hypnotic state if she's not, if she were programmed like the other members of the cult, why was she able to fight it off?
Is the special one.
Well, if she's the power, right? Because there are moments where she
powerful
seems
one.
stiff, but yeah, maybe it's
Mhm.
her power. She's able to overcome it, right? In some way, and that grows. I mean, and then of course Uncle George banging his head against the wall. Now we know why he was doing that,
Mhm.
right? So I thought that was a
To
cool
love
little.
Jack.
Excellent.
Well, and again, so that goes to why was Aunt Josephine stabbing herself? Why was George banging his head against the wall?
Mm.
Those steps are part of that person having to do the ritual.
Right. Oh.
Exactly.
If it's
Yeah.
meant for Leanne, why are Josephine and George doing it?
That's why George did it too, because he was about to do that to Leanne, and then he said he couldn't do it.
Right. When was that at the end later when he goes up to the attic and the record player is playing nothing? Like,
Oh, that was interesting.
Like, where did that come from? Like, was she trying to do that upstairs? Like, did she actually have a moment of like?
That was Leanne finishing the ritual upon Josephine. I thought
That was that much later?
the very, very end. Because
And
Leanne
Sean's the one that turns it off.
Yeah.
Because it's not playing anything. I don't even know if there was a record on it. Like, it looked like it was just.
It
didn't look like it, right? I don't know.
I just don't understand the mechanics of the ritual. Per the video, I'm Aunt Josephine. Leanne has transgressed. I need to get Leanne reunited.
Yeah.
So, Leanne, play some music that reminds you of a good time on Earth. Leanne, stab yourself. Now I'm gonna, slice you and dice you and throw you on a pyre, and then you'll be all better. But the way George and Josephine are going about it, to Leanne, presumably, they're also taking part in the ritual.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So why?
Like, why does it need to be? Maybe it's sort of like a meditation kind of a thing, and they need to reach some sort of a state of religious clarity.
But that's not in the video.
No, I know.
Right,
I just. No.
That's
well, there you go again. No, there you go again. Like, if the video is from the 1970s and like,
like
40 years later, like maybe something in the middle changed, and like you can do.
Like,
we figured out a way to do these parts of it ourselves because the people were unwilling before, or something like that.
Okay.
Because I know even like in the church, like they change the wording all the time, and then everybody like turns their head to like what is going on, like years of what's different about now, but things just happen to change, so it could be like
they evolve.
Maybe.
I'd buy that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but also they make other weird specific mistakes on everything else. I don't know why you would do that to your own lore. I don't know.
If they are being controlled, then that would be a possibility.
I'm sure we'll learn more.
Yes.
So, Aunt Wood said something that I wanted to jump on about Joy. One of the ways in which Leanne has strayed. Oh, so the self-flagellation, when Leanne is whipping herself in her room as she prays. The video we saw, the cult members, self-flagellating.
Right.
The idea based on the video is to separate yourself from your body.
Right.
The same way you renounce earthly pleasures.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Leanne, now that she's strayed, is coming more into her body, having sex.
Right.
Wearing clothes that are more ornamental than her previous plain, shift dresses and hair down, no makeup.
Right.
Now we see her in that beautiful blue velvet dress and makeup and, hair back.
Right.
And the sex scene in the attic where she's, the wild tousled hair and the black dress, and Yeah, I
fire.
thought that was interesting.
Another sort of oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I was done.
Oh, no,
Okay.
yeah.
Another, just like a random, I know we've also been, a lot of people have talked about the Wizard of Oz links or influence.
Render Dorothy.
So yeah, so I thought it was interesting when Leanne pulled off the veil from Aunt Josephine and she was revealed and she freaked out. That seems to me to be a very strong link between the Wizard of Oz when they accidentally reveal, behind the curtain, and then suddenly you see who it is. And that also ties to Lost, the man behind the curtain.
Yes.
Everything is in
Mr.
it.
Benjamin Linus.
Oh my God, everybody's
Another
favorite.
title, another episode title.
Exactly.
That's how important it is.
Yeah, he's such a dork. I just think it's neat. It's like, oh yeah. So it was like a double parallel. That was cool.
I love the Lost references.
Although it did make me think like, okay, so Dorothy's not the one that pulled the veil off, right? But I can't remember in the Wizard of Oz who's the one that actually reveals the wizard behind the curtain. I can't remember who actually does it. I don't think it's Dorothy.
Doesn't Toto like go up and start pulling at the curtain?
Oh, I think
That
so.
sounds
It's been a
right.
while.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's been so long. The flying monkeys was when I was like, I'm out. It's too scary for me. And then I had to watch it again. And...
Yeah, that was pretty intense, those costumes.
Sorry. Speaking of childhood trauma, Willy Wonka, and there are no connections that I see. I'm sure there are if you wanted to find them. But I remember being shown Willy Wonka when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5. And when Violet eats the candy and turns into a giant blueberry.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I cannot eat a blueberry. In my mind, it's poison.
Sure. It's funny
It
how
always
it
scared me
connections
when they
that
got on
way.
the boat, right? And they get on the boat and they're going through that thing.
Oh,
that was a lot too, yeah.
Yeah.
Gene
But-
Wilder, my God.
Specifically, oh God, so creepy. Specifically, that movie is just wrong. But as are all of his works, because they're all about bad children being punished in horrific ways.
Mm-hmm.
But Violet the blueberry, now you're gonna get rolled away to get squeezed by these Oompa Loompas.
Mm-hmm.
I ran upstairs crying. Fun fact, my mom, who's very British, has a good friend, Daphne, who at one point was the mayor of Cambridge. Anyway, Daphne lived on the same street as Roald Dahl. And
cool.
he kept these attack geese as pets. And every day when the school bell rang and the little English children came out and were walking the streets to go home, he would unlock the fence and let the geese out to terrorize these poor children.
So he
Write me some books.
Or he
So
did.
there you go. Writer of children's books, Roald Dahl.
Oh no.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And what did you find on the hand sign?
Just about nothing. I mean, not nothing, but it's like general. It's kind of like, it like ties back to Christianity and like the Holy Trinity.
Gotcha.
Where was that thing specifically?
So we're talking about Uncle Frederick's weird hand thing that he does. That's not a wave, because his assistant, cousin, whatever, does a normal hand wave when introduced. But he makes this gesture with the 2 fingers and the thumb up, and then pinky and 4th finger down. He does it twice.
Right.
Once when introducing himself, and then once when, we're going to talk about this ritual.
Right.
So how is it tied to Christianity? The Holy Trinity?
The Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, that sort of a thing. But also, it says here, like the fingers pointing to heaven, to God, and then Saturn. I don't know where they get Saturn from, but Saturn is,
Scientology or the Bible?
Yeah, no, it's Roman mythology. Like, I don't know how they draw that in, but then it's like Saturn was the creator of the Titans, the older Greek gods. So that's like the second generation of Greek gods. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of like, it ties back to like creation myth that way. This is an article I just randomly pulled up. I just thought that was interesting.
Huh.
I'm not sure how, I mean, beyond the like specific Christian reference, I don't know about the Saturn information, but it's interesting to see how like certain things, evolve over time. I'm not sure how it fits in here though, unless the cult later on we find more information.
All right, so Dorothy escapes the
Right.
oil eye, gets herself in the basement. I wasn't aware that there was an entrance to the basement other than through the greenhouse, but apparently there is. Again, the house kind of being an entity that's unknown. But ends up in the basement, starts praying. Sean's door unlocks mysteriously. Presumably, Leanne does that. And Sean runs to Dorothy, who's making a noose. And Sean is pleading with Dorothy to open the door. And Dorothy's saying, no, I have to go. You're not a mother. You wouldn't understand. Same soul, that line that you referenced, Alyssia. And Sean then says, well, what about me? You're going to leave me alone. And then last card, well, what if Jericho's still alive? You'd leave him alone. And that's what gets Dorothy to finally open the door. I thought it was interesting that Sean was saying, if you do this, I will never forgive you. I will never, ever forgive you. Interesting that it made me think about what Dorothy really did to Jericho. That Sean forgiven her. I just felt like there was some underlying sentiment to what Sean was saying in the moment.
He was also fairly ready to tell her very tearfully what actually
happened. Yeah, we didn't talk about that either. Yeah.
So I don't know if that if those things are not parallel, but I don't know if they tie together in any way. But that's very interesting that like becoming so wrapped up in whatever's happening with this magic baby or this holy baby or just this baby in general, like I don't know if the point was in that moment that like it doesn't matter that happened because we have this situation now and you're still like no matter what I love you because you're gonna like hang yourself on the crib and like maybe it's beyond that. So like maybe this situation absolves the other situation even though it's technically not resolved. Like the heat of the moment. I don't know how much they're actually thinking about that.
Yeah.
So then we're back to the basement where Aunt Josephine finds Leanne and keeps going with the ritual. The cutting of the arm. Ugh. I was like, ugh.
That was hard to watch.
I can't watch those.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Very graphic. That was a lot. And she started the fire in the hole. And then Dorothy saves the day with a shovel.
Of course. It's always the shovel.
Dorothy with a shovel in the basement. And I, before the episode ended, I remember thinking, God, Dorothy's being so sweet to Leanne. She's like, this is what Dorothy could be as a mother. Are you okay? Are you okay? I'm going to go get Sean. If you need anything, call me. I'll be right back, but I'm just going to get Sean. Just that one line of, if you need me, I'll be right back, but I'm going to get help. And they're just really doting and caring. And
she has such strange, erratic empathy. I mean, I know she's not a well person, but it's such
I love that erratic empathy.
It's such a strange thing.
And that's and then Leanne says after that when she gets attacked again, or maybe it was before, but she says, "See that she protected me." That she protected me like I'm her daughter.
Right, exactly.
And who is she?
I think they really it's almost like in a way they're saving each other, or at least it's meant to appear that way.
Perhaps not in the most healthy way, but yeah, it seems like that. But
she rewards Dorothy by
Exactly.
giving
Right.
Jerica back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Whereas
You did
before
it
it
for
wasn't
me.
going to happen because I don't like you,
exactly.
I think.
And then Dorothy's going to do something that Leanne doesn't like,
Mhm.
and then it'll be flipped again.
It will, yeah.
Or something else entirely.
Or something else will happen.
How
You know,
about
the
that
way
hot
that
knife in the eye? What do we think of
Another
that?
like,
an eye for an eye.
ooh, yeah.
I thought that was
Oh
great. I
yeah.
mean, it wasn't, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Ugh.
boy.
One of there are a couple like random things.
hmm
We were talking earlier about like, are they being observed, or did Leanne report back, right?
hmm
Everything. And I recall Josephine saying May and George not involved in this anymore, which I thought was interesting. But
Right.
then she also says, she quotes what Dorothy says, and she says, you can, basically you can understand we have our customs. That's
Right.
exactly what Dorothy said, right?
hmm
So I think that also makes another,
What is
somehow
happening?
they're either being actually watched or getting, somebody's reporting back, or it's a little bit of both. And then in one of the Dharma Initiative videos, I guess it's the Pearl Station, they say that other team members are not aware that they are subjects of an experiment.
Right.
So I thought that was
I
another
just, yeah.
interesting
Oh, it's so interesting.
hint or clue in, but maybe not. But that was just, yeah.
Well, but that goes to who's Leanne talking to when she says, "See, she did protect me. She does love me."
I think she's just talking to herself in that moment as
Well,
like
and also at the end when she's saying, all that, her little monologue at the very end. I'm just saying it could go to observation.
Yeah, we've seen that, right? Like Dorothy yelling at George, in the last episode or the one before that, right? Into him, as though she's talking a few episodes ago. And then it worked, right? It worked. They heard me. So no, I think that's a great point that I hadn't thought about, was who is she talking to there? Because you assume, and again, it could be seen either way, right?
That's
So
what I mean. Because it seems like she's
yeah.
having like a childhood moment, like, oh, it's like
Yeah.
mom is like, doting on me, and like mom loves me, and like something like that. But it could
she
easily
definitely
be the
turned
other.
and looked at Aunt Josephine, and she's knocked out. She could have been just saying it to Aunt Josephine, but I think she also could have, if they are being watched in a way, or somebody can hear her. I think that's a possibility too. That was a really good question that you brought up with that. I think it's interesting.
Oh, we're in for a lot, aren't we?
Right. I keep thinking about how once everything's played out and we go back to the beginning and we watch it all the way through with all the answers, I imagine there's going to be even a whole lot more that we didn't even realize.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Oh boy, that's exciting and also upsetting, because then it'll be over. We have time.
So we want to hear anything that we've missed, theories, questions, thoughts.
I guess two things. The last thing that I think we should spend a minute or two talking about, of course, is the body and the crawl space. And then also we had a question on Reddit. Then this would tie into that. So someone was asking for us to talk about our thoughts on Josephine. I'm sorry, not Josephine, on Leanne wearing Josephine's coat at the end.
Trophy, power, move.
My thought was that she was becoming the next Aunt Josephine. So if Aunt Josephine was a dark figure in some way, then maybe she's becoming her, or maybe she's took some of the darkness. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Could just be like, because she wears Dorothy's shoes, not, like not willingly, but I mean, like maybe it's just like, I guess what I'm saying is like a trophy.
That's what I was about to say. Are we talking a trophy here?
Yeah,
okay.
like I don't like, like look at this that I took from you, and like that's all that's left of you, and it's mine now.
Gotcha.
Or there's some subconscious thing that she's taking up that mantle of like whatever that means to the cult. But again, she doesn't seem willing in any of it. But then, do you have to be willing to fulfill a role? Is it like a fate-driven thing, or?
And I think
I don't
that's
know.
even maybe what Leanne is asking too, right? I feel this darkness growing.
Right. So maybe it's
Maybe
just
this is who I
like
am.
embracing that part of that.
Exactly.
And then I guess trying to contain that within that strange family unit you've found yourself inserted into.
That you've inserted yourself into. I look at Leanne as this lost child that has never really had much of her own, that's been manipulated, earlier by her mother and then later by the cult, told who to be, what to wear, how to behave. Think about the mom at the pageants, dressing Leanne up and you're ruining this for me. And
even the family picture where she's holding her face, like,
smile, baby.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, Leanne, who's never really been allowed to examine who am I, what do I like, what do I want, who is Leanne, who am I? And she's still emulating Dorothy. And I wonder if taking Aunt Josephine's coat was a little bit of that, of, the way she gets her personality is from looking to others.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's a great point.
Like embracing the fashion of, like something that like can kind of be exclusively hers now that there's no, maybe for her, like no connection to it. Just the coat, not anything like beyond that.
Or this is what someone who's in power would wear.
Exactly. Like fancy and mysterious a little bit.
Yeah. Someone not to be effed with.
I wonder if we will see Aunt May or Uncle George again. Or
I hope so.
Right? I hope
miss
so
George.
Too. Yeah. Hopefully he'll be back. I'm wondering if he'll come back in a different way.
Well, that might be interesting. I wonder what do you mean?
Could he possibly save the day if that ends up being necessary?
I hope so.
What, Liz?
Oh, I said I could see that happening, like Hurley with the van.
Exactly. Yeah, and he ran fast, right? Because he knew Aunt Josephine was coming. She's gonna come for you. He got the F out of Dodge.
Did we see her twice this season or no?
No.
Was she credited for 2 episodes?
The very end of the 9th episode and then 10.
Yeah.
So is that how that happened? Yeah. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like maybe they threw her in somewhere weird, but
the body in the crawl space, or the body, it's behind the wall.
Yeah.
I'm already been obsessing over my screenshots.
Oh, you were saying it before.
I know there was an interview where they talked about that body being Aunt Josephine, and I really didn't think that it was. So I don't know. What do you think?
I believe it's Josephine. By the way, Leanne was talking to her, by, killing you, I've started a war. It's again, I look to the writer's intentions. It seems like the most natural direction. But the whole idea behind the ring, I was, trying to pay close attention to Aunt Josephine's hands. And she could have been wearing a ring, but it would have been hidden by the black gloves.
Right.
Albeit lace, but still.
Yeah.
Could have been obscuring a ring.
I haven't been able to spot it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not there. I'm
a bunch of people said that too. Yeah, and I got to take a better look myself.
Yeah, because so far, when I was rewatching this last time, I didn't see anything. I looked and I zoomed in and paused on the body too for a while, and I'm not seeing a ring there.
Well, there's a glint. There's a
that's what I thought too when I first saw it. I was like, there was some kind of a light or something.
Yeah, something that looks like a ring. But yeah.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she's here and it's like right here.
Not
that you guys can see, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
So can we rattle off our contact?
Yeah, that's pretty. I think that's pretty clear to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, our contact info. Can we go over that quickly?
Our contact info. Let's see.
And where people can find us. other ways to watch.
Absolutely.
I have this on SoundCloud too. I'll get the link for that. But Twitter is at Decoded Servant. YouTube is the same. And then email is, let's see,
ServantDecoded for
at outlook.com.
the number 4 at
Right.
outlook.com.
Yes.
And we could probably put those links in the information section too, or links to
Yeah,
anything.
we'll put those in the I'll put those in the description.
Mhm.
If we get good emails or comments,
Mhm.
we may read some.
Oh, sure. It
Absolutely.
would be good to generate conversation too, to answer questions
Yeah.
or, see what other people are thinking, what other people would like to approach.
So many smart people out there. I'm sure there are a few people banging their heads going, "You're wrong. It's really blah, blah, blah. You're wrong about this," or
Oh, those are such good
"How
feelings.
did you miss that?"
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Mm.
open to correction.
Oh, sure. Corrections, suggestions.
Even though it was the season finale, we're just getting going, so we're going to try and do lots of videos in the off season. We'll probably go back and go through a lot of stuff and do some special videos that focus
Ooh.
on different topics.
Well, we could even
So I'm
do-
sure we'll be talking about a lot of this more.
Hypothetically, depending on how we feel about time and, everything, I guess we could do a rewatch. Maybe as we get closer to the next season, maybe that makes more sense. I don't know.
I think so. I think that make definitely.
And then looking to another show to
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 fill in
Lots
the
of good options.
yeah. So we've been talking about the show Evil on
Mhm.
CBS, which the
Mhm.
second season is about to begin.
Yes.
But if
Really?
it-
That seems like that came out so long.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, well, COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Exactly. Hmm.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
halted.
lost a
Yeah.
year. I forgot.
Yeah, I do
If
too.
anyone-
I won't even think about something in 2020. I'll be like, oh yeah, when
No.
I did this last year, and it's like
I
that's
remember-
2019.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember seeing
Yeah.
the first 2 episodes week to week, and I was like, "Oh, that was interesting." Then I guess whatever happened, and now here we are. And I was like, I don't know. It just seemed like so long.
It's a great show. It's kind of definitely has puzzle pieces to it as well, but it's
Seemed
also
intriguing.
it's like a
It's like a procedural a little
this
bit.
genre, right? It's combining this genre with a procedural. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
And-
lot of theological stuff in it. There's lots
Yeah,
of
yeah.
which
I thought that
it
was
might be
pretty
a good
cool.
companion. Yeah.
It
And
doesn't come up very-
ongoing stories. And it has Ben from Lost.
Exactly.
And it has some real creepy episodes too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
there's
It really does.
the creep factor is there. It's scary at times. I really like it.
It is, yeah.
Nice.
Episode
Yeah,
7 is
sounds
one of my
interesting.
favorites. It's
Which-
a really the actress, I can't think of her name. She's got a new show coming out. Actually, it's a comedy, but she's playing this woman who's possessed. She's blonde. Kind of short haired. Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh, she is
Good.
incredible in that episode. She's
All right, I gotta get on this.
so good. Very creepy.
Is it somewhere
Yeah.
or no? Is it
Oh, it's
on
good.
bs.com or something?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, I was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, even better.
Mhm. Yep. Mhm.
All right. I think that's it. Wrapping up.
Wonderful.
Thank
Well,
you.
this is a lot to think about. Yeah, thank you. I'm excited.
All right.
Excited to see what happens next.
We'll
In
talk
9
to you-
months or so.
Yeah, right.
But we'll talk to you soon. We'll be back in a few days.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
With our next
Yeah.
episode.
Definitely.
Next week.
We'll be back next
Sure.
week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.